I remember it like it was yesterday, May 19th, 2005. There I was at the midnight debut screening of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. My favorite one, the best one. It was awesome. During what was one of the key scenes of the movie, where Darth Vader wears his suit for the first time, a strange urge overcame my entire being. Try as I might, I couldn't resist but stand up in front of a packed house and yell, "Hey! Darth Vader's helmet is just like a Virtual Boy!" The reaction was not good. Only one person laughed. The rest?
Shut the f*** up!
Had a room of 500 fat, sweaty, disgusting nerds not heard of the Virtual Boy? For the few who remembered it well, like me and the one guy who saw the humor in ruining the movie, it was quite a journey. When the Virtual Boy was first announced in November 1994, 3D gameplay was on its way to becoming standard. Virtual reality as a concept finally seemed ready to break through, and the Game Boy was long overdue for retirement. What Nintendo presented at the time was actually a project that had been in the works for almost 10 years. Gunpei Yokoi, inventor of Game & Watch and the mighty Game Boy, started tinkering with a motion tracking hardware kit called Private Eye, first developed in America in 1985. The outfit that developed Private Eye, Reflection Technology Inc., had failed to attract interested parties. Sega turned them down, Hasbro did too. But Gunpei saw what others didn't. Unique technology that was difficult to duplicate, but also affordable to develop. An exclusive licensing deal was written up, and Gunpei worked on what would become the Virtual Boy for several years afterward. The Virtual Boy operates via a unique setup. Put your eyes into the headset and focus on two vertical lines of 224 red dots reflected by oscillating mirrors that create multi-plane 3D graphics. A 32-bit CPU runs the whole show under the hood. The red kept costs down, as LED lights used in the headset were cheaper in red than in green and blue. The controller had two directional pads to maneuver through 3D environments. Media coverage for the Virtual Boy before release was fairly positive. It was called Totally Immersive, a breakthrough, and a very different experience. Leading up to day one, a flurry of TV commercials, combined with contests in conjunction with NBC, were seen all day long. There was even some product placement in certain TV shows. Nintendo joined up with Blockbuster Video to rent out the Virtual Boy, a convenient try before you buy that cost $10 for a rental and came with a $10 coupon for the unit. The Virtual Boy had all the right marketing buzzwords: VR, 3D, stereoscopic, 32-bit. But none of these meant anything when it came time to sit down and actually play the thing. Because when the Virtual Boy went on sale in the summer of 1995, the story quickly changed. The price tag, $179, was heavily criticized. The lack of color graphics was too. I don't get why just 3 months before that wasn't a problem, but okay. And the games received mixed reviews. That meant the games were bad, but no one had the courage to call out Nintendo about it. The first wave of titles, Mario's Tennis, Teleroboxer, and Galactic Pinball, showed off what the Virtual Boy could do. But the action was limited. Games that were more traditional, like Wario Land, had nothing wrong with them, but you couldn't call it virtual reality. It was a game that should have been on the Game Boy or Super NES. There was no way for Nintendo to win. Every Virtual Boy game lacked something people wanted in order to focus on something else they didn't. But these problems could be resolved with enough time. The stake through the heart of the Virtual Boy came from the scientific fact that looking into the headset for extended periods of time gave users headaches, bouts of dizziness, and eye strain. Nintendo had to come out publicly and recommend no users under the age of 7 use the Virtual Boy, and anyone older should take breaks every 20 minutes. That killed off a significant percentage of the market, and put off the rest from thinking this was a good investment.
And cracking, and that red light is burning my brain.
You look a little stressed.
Oh, I'm stressed.
The price was cut, but even that didn't move many units. The damage was already done. More cuts came, and by 1996, the Virtual Boy was discontinued by Nintendo. You could easily find stores with stacks of Virtual Boys for $20, and people still didn't bother to pick one up. In the end, about 750,000 Virtual Boys were sold, and almost all of them at a discount. Despite the real-time collapse, Nintendo put on a brave face, fully supporting the games developed for the Virtual Boy throughout 1995. 19 games were released in all in Japan, and 14 in America, on par with what the Game Boy and Super NES had in their first Christmas seasons. Nintendo Power had a Virtual Boy top 5 chart for almost an entire year. The only games to reach number 1 were Galactic Pinball, Mario's Tennis, and Wario Land. The top 5 ran from November 1995 until September 1996, when the N64 top 5 games chart replaced it. In 1996, among the ashes of the Virtual Boy, Nintendo did 3D gameplay right with the N64 and Super Mario 64. The Game Boy got a new killer app, Pokémon, along with a hardware revision designed by Gunpei Yokoi, showing that he still had the right stuff, and that sometimes you just gotta go with what you know. It wasn't that Nintendo somehow whiffed at an easy pitch that should have been a home run. Virtual reality stalled out in the 90s and never really caught on. Even successful VR today is still a niche product, and there will likely never be a day where everything is run through a portable headset. Nintendo was more successful with 3D graphics with the 3DS in the 2010s, but even that was scaled back as, once again, the 3D caused headaches and eye strain, though not as badly. Glasses-free 3D faded away on the whole, and Nintendo themselves un-3D'd the 3DS by the end of its life cycle. Even though the Virtual Boy was a black eye for Nintendo, its creator, Gunpei Yokoi, and his philosophy of lateral thinking with seasoned technology can be seen long beyond his years at Nintendo. Because 30 years later, here we are back at the start. On February 17th, 2026, the Virtual Boy joined the list of Nintendo Online Classics, complete with a replica headset that is required to play. It cost $99 for the headset, $25 for a cardboard version, and $50 minimum for the service. Perhaps, now, finally, Gunpei's only failure can have some success, and Nintendo can make their money back.